asked, this is a shaila because of the lockdowns, people are asking the shaila about lighting a menorah in a studio to be broadcast on national media. May you say the brachas as normal. So I want to address this. The public menorah is relatively a new minhag, which goes back, let's say, from about 40 years ago, 45 years ago. And those various people have written about this and questioning it. I've written about this in the Sefer Nesivim B'Zdei Hashlichus, Volume Aleph, extensively, basically to explain that we have the concept of the menorah lit in shul, and the poskim go to pains to explain that no one is yotze from the menorah in shul. So if so, why are you lighting it in shul? So one of the reasons they say is persuminis. Actually, there are numerous Rishonim who say that the menorah is lit in shul for the benefit of those people who, for some reason, whether because they don't have the money, or they don't have the house, or they don't have the seichel, whatever it may be, they may not be lighting a menorah at home. And like this, they will be yotze with a menorah lit in shul. And now, before you start jumping up and down in protest, the question is, the very person who lights the menorah in shul, he has to go home and light menorah again with a bracha. But he has to make a light again at home. It's not yotze. And so therefore one has to understand a bit more subtle over here. It says in the Gemara, a person who's walking in the street and he sees a Ner Chanukah. So Rashi says in the Gemara in Bar Shabbos, it means a person who doesn't have, for some reason, he doesn't have a menorah, he doesn't even have a house, and he sees a Ner Chanukah. So he is not fulfilling his chiyuv, his personal obligation, but he is participating in the persumanissa experience. He's seeing a menorah, he's remembering the inyan of Chanukah. So should we say, on the receiving end, but he can make a bracha. What seems to be by the menorah in shul, that since the people who see the menorah will be on the receiving end of persumanissa, we are able to make a bracha on such a thing. So we are allowed to make a bracha to provide the those who are out there, that they should be on the receiving end of the persumanis. So therefore, in a shul you light a menorah, and people there's no one there who's not going to light at home. Okay, we'll say it's because of minhag. But if there's someone there, so he's yoitz to the union of persumanis. Though that same reason, that same logic is valid for the menorah in the public square, the only difference is that the Meforshim say that the lighting of menorah in the shul is zeichel mikdash. You cannot pick holes in that one because, what about tonight? Every day the zeichel mikdash should be every day. But be that it may, one of the things that the zeichel mikdash is which side of the shul you should light it. Why we light it in shul in the morning, by halal as well as by night. Because the menorah in the morning also according to many meforshim. But basically the menorah in public spaces has got the precedent is this, the menorah which is lit in shul, and that is for the very same logic, because there are people out there who are going to see the menorah and they will be exposed to the experience of persumanissa. Therefore we can make a bracha. This is all very well if you're talking about a menorah, which is taka with flames, and with a wick and a flame, you can make a bracha on that. But here, if someone will be turning up his computer, and he'll see that in this place they are lighting a menorah, but he's seeing it through the screen. He can't make a bracha shos and this and say no over a screen. It doesn't seem right. And as a result, the person is making menorah. So I've told people, if you want to make a thing on Zoom, to light menorah at home or in your shul, if you have a shul, and light menorah there and put that on the screen. But in a studio where there are no other people there, so the only exposure is via the media. So make a bracha without Hashem's name. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. The chazonis is okay. You can say it with chazonis. Don't deprive the chazonim of their broadcasting, their how do you say, Reim was kale begroinam. but no, a bracha shouldn't be made in a studio. So now I want to let's look at another thing. Looks like it's not on the list of questions, but fine, doesn't matter. It's on the screen. What about lighting menorah with a gas lamp? Beautiful, these gas lamps that you buy from camping shops. Very beautiful light. It almost looks like a fluorescent light. As you say, it's too good. It's too good. It's not okay as far as the Aniya's diet. It's not okay for lighting menorah. But the reason is, if you take about this kind of lamp, you'll see that inside there is a little bag. There's a cloth bag which surrounds the flame. There's a small flame. You don't see the flame. The flame warms up the inside of the bag. The bag is impregnated with particles, which when they become hot, they start glowing. So the gas lamp, you don't see a flame. You're seeing a glowing particles. And that doesn't count for lighting the menorah. And therefore, that's not valid, although it would have been very convenient, but it's not valid for lighting menorah, Laniya's diet. I know some people say it's okay, but I need to be, as far as I understand, it's not okay. Okay, the next thing which we have on the list is about a menorah in a public place. So someone's lit menorah in his own salon, in his dining room with his family, and then he's got his front of his house is onto the street. So this is the picture is taken during the daytime, but he wants to light the menorah again on the street, so the passers-by should be able to should be able to see the menorah. Very nice. So he asked me that if that's okay. So I said, actually, if you first light the menorah outside, you've fulfilled your mitzvah. And there's no point of saying a bracha again when you go inside. In other words, the original mitzvah was to light al pesach b'esim b'chutz, to light menorah outside. If you've lit your menorah in your front yard, so you've done the mitzvah as it was in the original mitzvah, and there's no justification for you to go back into your dining room and light menorah again. On the other hand, if you first light menorah inside, so you've done the menorah for yourself. You haven't fulfilled the idea of Pirsum and Issa. In other words, if you light the menorah outside, you've done Pirsum and Issa, and you've fulfilled your personal chiyuv. If you first do your personal chiyuv, you missed out on Pirsum and Issa, then you are allowed to light it again outside in order to project the idea of Pirsum and Issa, so that people should pass by. He asked whether you need to have a minyan. So actually, in the Mishnah Berurah, he brings from Rabbi Yaakov Emden, on a Friday, when do you light menorah in shul on Friday? So normally we try to have a minyan in shul when we light the menorah in shul. But when it's Friday, let's say, especially if we have mincha early or whatever, so there may not be necessarily 10 people in shul at the time, and it's getting close to Shabbos, and so he says light the menorah without 10 people. It's not crucial to have 10 people when you light the menorah for a public menorah, so long because people will be passing by, they'll come later, so it's not crucial to have a minyan. It's preferable, but it's not crucial to have a minyan when you light the menorah. So he'll light the menorah outside. Because of COVID, he won't make a special time for people to gather, but people will pass by, Eden and Havdil Nicht Eden, and that's okay. You could make a bracha on that. Okay, let's move on. Someone's asking, is pomace, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, is pomace oil, olive oil, equally acceptable for the menorah? So I want to say very simple that we're talking now clearly in the area of Hidur Mitzvah, because you can light the menorah with wax candles, you can light menorah with paraffin, whatever it may be. You can light with various fuels, but there's a preference to use olive oil because that was used in the Beis Hamikdash. So we have here a Mishnah. This is a Mishnah in Halochos. There's 3 types of olives, and each one produces 3 types of olive oil. And you got the first olive is Megarga Dorisha Zayis from the top of the tree, so it's well exposed to the sun. You squeeze it, you push it aside of the basket, and then we have the next one, Toan Bakoira. You put on a weight of a beam or stones, and then that's the second quality. And then Choza B'Tochan B'Toan. And then the third thing is whether if you grind it to produce oil, that's the third quality. And then it goes through all the different levels of quality of olive oil. first of the first, second of the first, the different levels of where the olives grow. At the top of the tree, middle of the tree, bottom of the tree, more exposure to the sun, less exposure to the sun. So these produce different qualities of olives, and therefore different quality oil. And the one which is only produced after crushing is the least quality. The pomace oil, apparently, from my reading of up on it, is that it's produced by a chemical reaction. They put in some kind of chemicals into the, I don't know what the word in English is, but it's like the dregs equivalent of making wine. Here it's from oil. They squeeze out olives and they add some kind of chemical, and that stimulates that the oil should flow out. So it's not top quality olive oil. It's the least quality olive oil. It is valid, but it's, if you want to say it's muhuder, no, it's not the best muhuder. It's the least muhuder amongst olive oils. Mr. Odd is adding here that he wouldn't use pomace oil for food purposes. As I just mentioned, there are chemicals, and you're mentioning that it might be carcinogenic, which obviously wouldn't be a good idea to put in your salad. Okay, so that's the pomace oil. Let's move on then. So I'm not there yet. Okay. Right. Very, very important point. And that is the question of a question of muksa. Because Chabad minhag, not only Chabad, many Chassidim have the minhag to light the menorah dafka on the other side of it. Says in the Gemara that the Gemara Midrashim, that you have the mezuzah bimin, menorah be mismoil, mezuzah bimin, and balabayis is beemsa, and his mesuva b'mitzvahs. There's an emphasis of having the menorah on the opposite side of the mezuzah. I had the privilege of learning with the late Rav Padve, Brcha. I once went to him Chanukah. He lived on Keslev Road, I don't remember which number it was, but he had where the room where you learned, which was the back room. There's a doorway which kind of went to a balcony which overlooked the garden, and he put his menorah there, at that doorway, which was no one can see it, not even from the gardens. But he would follow the same as Arminik, that to light the menorah in the doorway rather than by the window. There's a famous answer of the Rebbe about why we don't light the menorah in the window. There was the Rosh Hashiva in Torah Vodaz, Reb Moshe Ber Rivkin, and he lived on the corner of Eastern Parkway and Brooklyn Avenue, that big building. He lived over there, and the Rebbe passed by and he sees how his menorah is in the window, and the Rebbe says, writes to him, whatever, but it's published. One of the reasons why we don't light in the window, if you have the more old style menorahs, which would be with a back. So the back would be, if you light the menorah, it can be visible in the window, it's not visible to the inside. He gives a couple of reasons, but the simplest reason is we want to keep to lighting the doorway. So that's the minhag in any case. I'm not going to go into the details now, but the question has become for Shabbos. Especially if you've got toddlers in the house. What I did see is that even if you have a doorway which doesn't have a door, and therefore the mezuzah there is not according to everyone, according to the Rambam, you don't need to have a mezuzah if there's no door. But for as far as this is concerned, it's okay to have the menorah in such a doorway. I have my house, I have a doorway between the kitchen and the dining room. There's no door there, and we have the menorah over there on the opposite side of the mezuzah. The question is, what happens on the Friday night if it is in the doorway and you've got little children and you're worried about moving it, or you're worried about them bumping into it, etc., or you're worried because you want to close the door? It's getting cold. So this time of the year, it is sometimes a little cold. So we all know there's a concept of bosses l'dover ha'oser mutter. We know that we put the challahs on the table so that they should be there at the onset of Shabbos, as well as the candlesticks, so that in case you want to move the table, you should be allowed to, because it's a bosses of dover ha'oser mutter. So when you've got on the same surface a dover ha'oser, a dover ha'mutter, then the surface does not become muksa. It's not so poshut. There's several factors which one has to take in consideration. First of all, when we say you want to move the table, and you're allowed to move the table because it's got the candlesticks and it's got the challah. Why are you moving the table? Because you want to use the table. Here, why do you want to move the table or the chair, whatever it may be? Because you want to protect the menorah. You want to protect. So then the purpose is there. Normally, it's for the motive is a dover hamuta. Here, the motive is lechera dover os. Second point is that when you've got challahs at the table is for eating. So, all right, so then the challahs are at least as important at the table as the candlesticks are. But here, you've got a little table just for the menorah. The fact that you put a little challah, that you don't, nobody's going to eat at that little table. They're not going to eat the challah at the table. So that doesn't really become a dominant factor or to counterbalance the menorah. Now, the next thing is that when we talk about Bosses Dover also Mutter, what's important is that the Dover Hamutter has to be of equal or greater value. Value doesn't necessarily mean money. It has to be of greater importance than the Dover Ha'osu. Which is interesting because challahs, so normally we say in Shulchan Aruch that you have the flame and the challahs. What's the muksa? The muksa is the flame. So what would you prefer? To have a flame and go hungry, or to have challahs in the dark? You have that choice. I think I would go for to have my sandwiches in the dark. That's so between flames, between light and challahs. So the chal. But you know what? My candlesticks I bought them a long time. Yeah, my wife's candlesticks. They're quite expensive. I think if it's $700, I think I'd skip supper for $700 or $1,000. So I'm looking now, instead of looking at the flames, the candlesticks. The candlesticks, which are looking in Shulchan Aruch, they were simple things, clay candlesticks or whatever. They weren't expensive, delicate items. One used them for other things also, as a little container for trinkets. Our candlesticks, our expensive candlesticks, we wouldn't use them for anything else. So I think they come under the gather of muksa machmas chasor and kiss. So they are a big muksa. So you have to counterbalance not only the candles, the flames, but you have to counterbalance the candlesticks also. Well, so you're going to put something down, and then what are you going to put down? Let's say you're going to, you're going to put down on your little menorah tray. You're going to put down a mincha ma'ariv. Oh, the mincha ma'ariv is going to be the counterbalance. In my house, I've got about 75 mincha ma'arivs. For Hashem, souvenirs, for bar mitzvahs, chasnas. It's a davar choshev. Of course, it's got holy words in it, but to say that it's got a counterbalance to the presence of the menorah, so the putting something, and I'm saying this also because it's also relevant for the people pick up the Shabbos tray, the candlesticks by putting a candy on the tray, which is very, very questionable because of what I've just said. Does it? Why are you moving it? And does the thing which you put on it, does it counterbalance? I was brought up with the never movement, just saying they stay there for the whole of Shabbos. At any rate, so moving the menorah with the table, because you put a dover heter, is highly questionable. And I would say simply, instead do moving it kilachayat. Move the table. If you need to move it out of the way, move it, push it with your foot slowly, move it out of the way in a safe place. Do it kalachayad, and that's permitted. Muksa, it may be moved kalachayad. That's the simplest solution which I can come up with. Okay, let's move on. Another Hanukkah question. Two people asked me. One fellow called me up. He has a balabos who's traveling to Thailand. In the middle of Hanukkah, he bought tickets and he's traveling to Thailand with the family for holiday. After all this lockdown, as you say, I can't begin in Emirates and to want to go on a holiday. But he didn't realize it's the middle of Hanukkah. He's leaving the town. He's leaving about 12 o'clock at my day, 11 o'clock by day till he gets to the airport, etc. He arrives in Thailand, let's say 7 o'clock in the morning. So there's nowhere And I don't think Thai Air appreciate people lighting menorahs on their, in the kitchen there or something. I don't think that's going to work. And someone else called me again. He also, his son is in America, in Detroit, whatever. Coming once he has able to come home for a few days for Hanukkah. Brought the ticket during Hanukkah. So he's going traveling from Newark Airport. The flight is at 5 p.m. He's going to arrive in Europe. He's going to arrive in the morning. So what's he going to do about Menora? So in Newark, I asked to try find out. Perhaps there's a shul in Newark. He could do get a minyan, or even if not, in the shul they might have facilities to light a menorah, which is self-questionable, but fine. But this fellow going to Thailand. So then the question is like this: it says in the Gemara a story about someone who was in Germany, who was married, and he was in yeshiva away from home, and he says he doesn't need to participate in the menorah lighting here because back home his wife is lighting. So I'm looking into the question like this. So someone is traveling from Ukraine to Thailand for a vacation. How about if he asks a neighbor of his, a friend of his, do me a favor, and this time, go to my house, here's the key, you light my menorah in my house, my window, whatever it may be, light my menorah for my money, for my oil, and do it on my shlichus. Is there any value in that? So you have in the Gemara, it says his wife lit the menorah for him. So there's a sefer specializing in Halochos traveling. It's called Ahalech Ba Mitecho. It's written by Rebbe Tzal Stern, who wrote the Shayas HaTshuvas B'Tzel HaChochma. He was, for a number of years, he was the Rav of the Kehillah in Melbourne. And he was very sensitive to traveling and the complications, especially, dateline and stuff like that. And being in different time zones, he's very so he specializes in this area, but he takes the view that it does not work to have someone else other than your wife. If someone was staying home and they light your menorah, you're yotze. But just to have your menorah lit and you're not there, so you're not yotze with that. Listen, he does not bring any proof to that. So what I would say is there's no chance of them lighting in the plane. If this is this might work, it might not work. Klapish Maya Galio. So no hard and fast answer on that. It can't do any harm if then someone else will light the menorah on their behalf, and this way possibly they're yotze because their menorah has been lit in their premises. All right, let's go to a nun. So someone's asked, what should the shul Beis Chabad do to facilitate this person? We're lighting menorah but they're not yotze from the menorah in shul. The Alter Rebbe said in Tanya, which you had a couple of days, that when the chazan goes to the Yomid and says Kedusha, so the Omshe Besodas are yotze Kedusha. But I don't know whether they're yotze menorah. If they don't see a menorah, I don't think it can be yotze without seeing a menorah. If there is, as I said back to this in Newark, if there was a place where there's a public menorah in Newark, at least there could be yotze, what we said before, the idea of seeing a roya near Hanukkah, even though there's no one's yotze their choivas gavro because it's not their house, but at least they can be seeing a near Hanukkah. But if they're on the plane, and unless we make such a big menorah that they can see it from the planes. Okay.